This younger person is not just thinking about you. They are reaching the end of pretending. And I need you to listen carefully, because the Ten of Swords is not whispering tonight. It is laid out like a final scene. The kind where someone realizes the story they kept telling themselves has collapsed under the weight of what they actually feel. This younger soul may have tried to call this connection casual. They may have told themselves, "It is not that deep. I am just attracted. I am just curious. I am just noticing something different." But the Ten of Swords says that explanation has been pierced too many times to survive. Something inside them is lying still now, not dead in a frightening way, dead in the symbolic way, the old denial, the old performance, the old easy mask they used when feelings became inconvenient. That version of them cannot keep standing. Here at Astral Card Vault, we do not read this as fortune-telling. We read the echo underneath it. And the echo beneath this card is psychological collapse. Not destruction of love, but destruction of avoidance. Your presence has become the blade that cuts through their pretending. Not because you attacked them, not because you chased, not because you forced some dramatic confession out of their mouth. You may have simply existed in your own energy, carrying your scars with grace, your silence with dignity, your softness with a kind of quiet authority they did not know how to dismiss. And this is where it gets deeper. The Ten of Swords shows someone reaching the painful end of a mental cycle. So this younger person may be realizing that every attempt to minimize you has only made you more unforgettable. Every time they tried to put you in a simple box, your energy slipped through the cracks like moonlight under a locked door. They cannot keep treating this as ordinary. They cannot keep acting like your presence did not disturb something sleeping inside them. But what they do next is not as obvious as you think. Because when denial breaks, some people run toward the truth, and some people go silent because the truth has finally become too loud, and that's silence. That may be where the next card begins. That silence is not empty, and the King of Cups shows why. Because this younger person is not empty. They are contained. There is a difference. Empty silence has no movement in it. Empty silence feels cold, flat, disconnected, like someone has already walked out of the room emotionally. But this silence has pressure inside it. This silence has water behind it. This silence feels like someone standing very still because if they move too quickly, something they have been holding back might spill out. And listen carefully, because this part matters. The King of Cups does not always show someone who lacks feeling. It often shows someone who feels deeply and then works very hard not to let those feelings take over the whole room. So this younger soul may be trying to appear composed around you, calm, mature, unbothered, like they have everything in their chest neatly folded away. But underneath that calm, there is a tide. They may be choosing their words carefully now. They may be watching their tone. They may be trying not to look too affected when your name comes up, when your energy enters the space, when something reminds them of you in a way they were not prepared for. And that is why their behavior may feel strange. Not because nothing is happening, because too much is happening underneath. After the Ten of Swords, after that old denial falls apart, they do not immediately become transparent. They do not suddenly walk toward you with their heart open in both hands. No. With the King of Cups, they try to manage the emotional flood. They try to become the person who can sit on the throne above the water and not let anyone see how high the waves are rising. They may tell themselves, "Stay calm. Do not make this obvious. Do not reveal too much. Do not let this person know they have reached you." But the very need to control it tells you something. People do not control what they do not feel. They do not discipline emptiness. They do not manage indifference. They do not hold back feelings that were never there. This is emotional containment. And here's the part they are not admitting. Your presence makes them want to be softer than they are ready to be. It pulls something out of them that they usually keep protected, hidden under maturity, humor, distance, or that quiet little mask of being fine. But the king can only hold the cup for so long before the hand starts to tremble. Because the moment they are close enough to really feel your aura again, that calm surface may not stay calm. But control only lasts until your presence steps back into the room. The Queen of Wands shows exactly why their calm begins to tremble. Because your aura does not let them stay neutral. It does not let them sit safely behind that calm face, that controlled tone, that careful little distance they have been trying to keep. The Queen of Wands is not quiet because she is weak. She is quiet because she already knows the room can feel her. And that is your energy here. You may not even realize how much you are being noticed. The way you move, the way you look when you are listening, the way your expression changes when you know something but choose not to say everything. The way your confidence does not always announce itself loudly, but still enters before you do. This younger person notices that. They notice the physical part, yes. They notice your beauty. They notice your presence. They notice your style, your eyes, your voice, the way something about you feels warm but not easy, inviting but not available to just anyone. But listen carefully, because this is where the message gets more specific. What is pulling them in is not just how you look. It is the life behind you. It is the fire behind your calm, the confidence behind your softness, the way you can be magnetic without begging to be chosen, the way you seem to carry your own private sun, even when you are not trying to shine for anyone in particular. And that unsettles them, because this younger soul may be used to attraction that is easier to understand, attraction that stays on the surface, attraction that can be flirted with, played with, controlled, enjoyed, and then placed back down. But with you, the attraction does not stay where they put it. It moves deeper. It starts touching their pride, their curiosity, their insecurity, their longing, their need to know why one person can feel so unforgettable without doing anything dramatic. They may watch you more closely than they admit. They may remember small things you did without knowing why those details stayed. A look, a pause, a smile that did not give everything away, a moment where you held your power without explaining it. And here is the part they are not admitting. Your confidence makes them aware of where they still feel uncertain. Your warmth makes them aware of where they are still guarded. Your self-possession makes them wonder if they could ever meet you without pretending to be more composed than they really are. So yes, the King of Cups tried to hold the water steady, but the Queen of Wands brings fire into the room. And when water meets fire like this, something starts to rise. Steam, pressure, reaction, feeling that can no longer stay perfectly hidden. That is why the more magnetic you become to them, the more their defenses begin to lift. Not because they do not want you closer, because they do. And that desire for closeness is exactly where the wall begins to rise. The Nine of Wands enters as the protection that appears after the attraction becomes too real. This is the moment where this younger person feels the pull toward you, but also feels the instinct to protect themselves from what that pull might mean. They want to come closer, but they do not want to be seen too clearly. And listen carefully, because this part matters. The Nine of Wands is not saying there is no desire here. It is saying desire has touched a guarded place. It is saying this person may be standing behind old defenses, old fears, old habits of self-protection, because your energy does not feel shallow enough for them to handle casually. You feel real. That is the issue. You feel like someone who would notice the difference between confidence and performance. You feel like someone who can sense when a person is speaking from the heart and when they are hiding behind charm. You feel like someone who might not call everything out, but would still know, and that makes them nervous. So, they may act strange. They may come close and then pull back. They may give you a moment of warmth, then cover it with distance. They may look at you like there is something they want to say, and then suddenly become casual again, as if the moment never happened. But do not miss this. That guardedness is not your assignment to fix. You are not here to climb over their wall, knock on every locked door, or prove that your energy is safe enough for them to finally relax. Your dignity matters here. Your peace matters here. Your self-worth cannot be placed in the hands of someone who is still learning how to stand honestly in front of what they feel. The Nine of Wands shows defense, yes, but it also shows fatigue. They are tired of pretending they are unaffected, tired of holding the line, tired of acting like they can keep you at a safe emotional distance while still feeling pulled toward you. Because every time they try to protect themselves from your energy, they also protect themselves from the very thing they are craving: depth, warmth, recognition, a connection that does not feel disposable. And that is why their mixed signals may feel so loaded, not empty, loaded, full of things they are not saying, full of restraint, full of fear, full of attraction trying to pass itself off as control. But walls do not create peace when the heart is already awake. They only create pressure. And the more they stand behind that wall, the more their mind begins to turn against them. What they keep behind that wall does not disappear. It climbs into the mind. The Nine of Swords brings that pressure into the place they cannot easily control. This is where the sign from the beginning finally reveals itself. Because the sign they cannot hide anymore is not always a message. It is not always a confession. It is not always them standing in front of you saying, "Yes, you affected me." Sometimes the real sign is that their mind will not leave you alone. And listen carefully, because this part matters. The Nine of Swords is not calm thinking. This is the mind replaying what the heart has not been brave enough to speak. This is lying awake and remembering a moment that should have been small, but somehow became louder in the dark. A look, a sentence. The way you pulled your energy back. The way you did not chase. The way you seemed to know your worth without needing them to confirm it. This younger person may be replaying conversations with you and finding new meaning in things they missed the first time. They may be wondering if you noticed their nervousness, wondering if they said too little, wondering if they said too much, wondering why your silence feels heavier than other people's attention. And here is the part they are not admitting. Their silence may be hiding anxiety. Not always fear of you. Fear of what you awaken. Fear of being emotionally seen. Fear that if they come closer, they may not be able to keep pretending this is just curiosity. Fear that you are not someone they can treat casually and still feel clean inside their own spirit. So they think, then they overthink, then they tell themselves to stop thinking, and somehow that makes the thoughts return stronger. They may dream about you, or wake up with a feeling they cannot fully explain. They may catch themselves imagining what it would be like to speak honestly. They may remember your face at random times, not because they plan to, but because their nervous system has already marked you as important. Do not miss this. The Nine of Swords does not mean they are peaceful in their distance. It means distance may actually be where the noise gets worse, because when they are not around you, they have fewer distractions from what your energy did to them. This is why their silence may be louder than a confession, because the outside may look still, but inside, their thoughts are moving like shadows across the walls, and once the mind becomes this restless, the signs do not stay inside for long. They start showing up everywhere. When the mind gets this loud, the energy has to move somewhere. The Eight of Wands comes in fast, and suddenly what was only inside their mind begins to echo outside of it. A song comes on, and something in the lyrics lands too close. A name appears. A memory returns out of nowhere. They see something that reminds them of your style, your voice, your face, your energy. And suddenly they are back in the feeling again. They try to move on with their day. Then there you are. Not physically, maybe, but symbolically, emotionally, everywhere. And listen carefully, because this part matters. The Eight of Wands is not slow reflection. This is movement. This is messages in the air. This is pressure building speed. This is the mind, the body, and the emotional world all starting to send the same signal at once. They may feel sudden urges to reach out. A quick text, a simple reaction, a small excuse, something that lets them touch your energy without having to fully expose why they are doing it. They may check your social media and tell themselves it means nothing. They may look for signs that you are still there, still open, still somehow connected to them. They may scroll past your name, your photo, your trace, and feel that little jolt in the chest they do not want to explain. And here is the part they are not admitting. The signs are not only around them, the signs are happening inside them. Their body reacts before their mind has a clean explanation. Their mood shifts when they think of you. Their attention sharpens when your name comes up. Their chest tightens, softens, opens, closes, all in the same breath. This is why the signs feel too loud to ignore. Not because every little thing outside of them has to mean something mystical, but because every reminder is landing on a place that is already awake. If nothing inside them had been touched, the reminders would pass like ordinary noise. But they do not pass. They stick. They move. They return. The Eight of Wands says the energy is no longer sitting still behind the wall. It is traveling. It is pushing. It is creating moments where they feel pulled towards you, even when they were determined to stay composed. And that is why things may start to feel sudden. A message after silence, a look that lasts too long, a small gesture that carries more emotion than the words around it. But do not miss this. Even when the urge becomes strong, this younger person may still try to disguise it as casual. But movement does not always arrive with a full confession in its mouth. The Knight of Cups is not always loud when it arrives. Sometimes it comes in softly. A message that looks simple on the surface. A question that does not need to be asked, but somehow opens the door again. A compliment wrapped in casual language. A joke that is trying to hide sincerity. A small gesture that says more than the words are brave enough to say. And listen carefully, because this part matters. This younger person may want to approach you with emotion, but they may not want the approach to look emotional. They may want to feel close to you again without having to confess why closeness suddenly feels so important. So the Knight of Cups can come through as almost a confession, not the full truth, not yet, but a soft movement toward it. They may reach out like it is nothing, but wait carefully for how you respond. They may say something light, but underneath it there is a question. Are you still open? Did I lose access to your warmth? Can I step closer without being fully exposed? That is the tension here. They want to bring the cup, but they are still watching their own hand. Because offering emotion to you means risking that you will see the feeling behind the gesture, and with you, they know they cannot hide forever behind charm or sweetness. Your energy makes half-truths feel thin. Your presence makes casual behavior feel louder when the emotion underneath is not casual at all. Here's the part they are not admitting. They may want to apologize for distance without saying, I pulled away because you affected me. They may want to compliment you without saying, you stay in my mind. They may want to reconnect without saying, something about losing your attention made me realize how much I wanted it. So they soften the approach. They make it smaller, they make it safer, but do not miss this. A soft gesture is not the same as emotional maturity. A sweet message is not the same as clarity. A romantic feeling is not the same as someone being ready to show up with consistency, and your dignity still matters here. You do not need to chase the knight just because the horse turns in your direction. Let the gesture speak, but also let the pattern speak. Because this younger soul may be learning how to approach what they feel, one careful movement at a time. And what surprises them most is not that they want to come closer. It is that somewhere deep inside, you are starting to feel like something they quietly wished for before they even knew your name. Once that almost confession appears, the deeper truth begins to surface. The Nine of Cups brings that quiet wish into focus, not as a loud demand, not as something they fully understand, but as a private recognition, because this card is not just about wanting, it is about realizing that something feels emotionally satisfying in a way they did not know they were missing. And for this younger person, your energy may be starting to sit in that place. The place where desire becomes more than attraction. The place where someone realizes, this person does not just excite me. This person feels like something I have been looking for without knowing how to name it. And listen carefully, because this part matters. They may have wanted beauty before. They may have wanted attention. They may have wanted chemistry, fun, distraction, something easy to enjoy and easy to leave alone. But with you, the feeling does not stay easy. It becomes fuller than that. It becomes quieter and heavier at the same time. You represent something they cannot reduce. Peace, depth, warmth, mystery. A kind of emotional satisfaction that does not feel cheap. And that is why the Nine of Cups makes them feel exposed. Because wanting you means admitting they are not as detached as they tried to be. Wanting you means admitting they crave something real, not just a person to admire from a distance, not just a fantasy, not just a spark they can control, something with weight, something with feeling, something that asks them to be honest about the kind of connection their soul is actually hungry for. Here is the part they are not admitting. You may have become the standard without trying to become the standard. After feeling your energy, other things may not land the same way. Other conversations may feel thinner. Other attention may feel louder but less nourishing. Other people may be easier, but easier does not always touch the place that has already been awakened. And no, this does not mean you wait around proving your worth. Your worth is not created by their realization. It was already there. The Nine of Cups is showing what your presence is bringing up in them, not what you must earn from them. You do not need to become more available, more obvious, more patient, or more bendable just because this younger soul is starting to understand what they feel. Let them understand. Let them sit with it. Because this private wish is beginning to open something deeper than desire. And once that doorway opens, the heart does not always know how to close it again. That private wish is where desire starts turning into emotional awakening. The Ace of Cups appears now, and that doorway begins to fill with feeling. Not just desire, not just fascination, not just the rush of wanting to be near you because your energy is beautiful, or because your presence lingers, or because something about you makes the room feel different after you leave. This is softer than that, deeper than that. The Ace of Cups is where the heart begins to open before the person has fully decided what to do with it. And for this younger soul, that matters, because they may not have planned to feel anything this sincere. They may not have planned to be moved by you in a way that asks them to become more honest. But something is softening. And listen carefully, because this part matters. This does not mean they are suddenly ready. It does not mean they have mastered vulnerability. It does not mean every wall disappears just because the cup is in their hand, but it does mean the emotional current is changing. What once felt like attraction may now be turning into recognition. What once felt like curiosity may now be turning into care. They may find themselves thinking about your feelings, not just your attention. They may wonder if they hurt you by pulling back. They may replay their own behavior and begin to see where pride made them colder than they meant to be. They may start feeling more compassion, more tenderness, more awareness that you are not just someone to be desired. You are someone to be respected. And here is the part they are not admitting. Your energy is teaching them the difference between wanting access to someone and being emotionally available for them. Those are not the same thing. Wanting your warmth is one thing. Being steady enough to honor it is another. Wanting your attention is one thing. Knowing how to hold it with care is another. And this is why the Ace of Cups feels so important. It shows the beginning of emotional sincerity, not perfection. Beginning. A first honest drop in a cup that used to stay dry. A first moment where they stop asking, "Why am I so drawn to this person?" and start asking, "What would it actually require of me to come closer with respect but do not miss this?" You do not have to force this opening. You do not have to teach them how to love. You do not have to lower your standards so their awakening feels easier for them. Let the heart open. Let the water rise. Because once the heart opens, it eventually asks for direction. And the final card brings movement. And when feeling finally asks for direction, the Chariot becomes the last test of this reading. Movement becomes the final question. Not fantasy movement. Not emotional noise. Not a feeling that circles itself forever and calls that depth. The Chariot is direction. It is self-control. It is the moment where a person has to decide whether they are going to keep being pulled in two directions or finally take the reins of what they know is happening inside them. Because this younger person can feel the split. One part of them wants to move closer. One part of them wants to stay protected. One part of them wants to speak. One part of them still wants to hide behind timing, distance, pride, or that careful casualness they have been using to make everything feel safer than it really is. But listen carefully, because this part matters. The Chariot does not ask you to chase the carriage. It asks them to learn how to drive it. If this person comes forward, they cannot come forward only with longing. They cannot come forward only with a sweet moment, a soft look, a message that almost says something but still leaves you guessing. They must come forward with direction, with honesty, with enough emotional responsibility to understand that your energy is not something to circle around forever. You are not a lesson they can keep postponing. You are not a feeling they can pick up when they are lonely and set down when they are afraid. You are not here to be dragged behind someone else's confusion, and that is the empowerment in this final card. The Chariot shows movement, but it also shows mastery. So yes, this younger soul may be feeling pushed toward a decision. They may be realizing the signs are too loud, the thoughts are too persistent, the heart is too open, and your presence is too spiritually unforgettable to keep treating this like nothing. But your role is not to force the reins into their hands. Your role is to stay seated in your own worth. Here at Astral Card Vault, the message closes with this: you did not wake them up by chasing. You did not shake their soul by begging to be chosen. You did not become unforgettable by making yourself easier to understand, easier to access, or easier to hold without responsibility. You woke something in them by being present, soft, strong, difficult to dismiss. So if this reading speaks to you, like the video, subscribe, and comment to claim only what feels true in your spirit. Because the real movement begins when someone stops running from the mirror, and you are the mirror they could not spiritually ignore.